Do you like to fish in the Pacific Northwest? Is it something that you do a lot? Is it something that really speaks to you? Is it something you're interested in? Well, if so, you need to know about a lot of laws that apply to fishing, shellfishing, crabbing in the Pacific Northwest. There's so many things that could go wrong and so many things that I've seen as a defense attorney. So in this video, I'm going to cover, what it is you need to know. What are some of the gotchas as far as fishing laws in this state? Because it's not as simple as you would think. My name is Lance Fryrear. I'm a criminal defense attorney located in Linwood, Washington. We've been defending people charged with fishing crimes, hunting crimes, all types of crimes for more than 20 years. And in this video, I'm going to cover what are the basically 3 most common laws that apply to fishing situations. What are some examples of problems that I've seen that people get into unintentionally even, and how does it really work? And then 3, what are some outcomes you could expect in court if you get charged with the fishing violation? So it's pretty stressful, but they usually turn out okay if you do the right things. So I'm putting out these videos for informational purposes. If you find it useful, please like and please subscribe to the channel. It helps get this needed information out to more people. Now I'm just going to jump right into the subject. So recreational fishing in Washington, in the Pacific Northwest. There's 2 major crimes you can get charged with. Recreational fishing in the first degree, which is a gross misdemeanor crime, means 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine max. And recreational fishing in the second degree, which is a simple misdemeanor crime, which means 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine maximum. Now, I'm going to put links to both of the statutes in the description to this video because they're pretty complicated, especially the first degree. Those are the 2 most common. And finally, there's another statute that covers infractions, non-crimes, things that you could get cited for that aren't criminal, that's more like a traffic ticket. So recreational fishing in the first degree, that's a pretty long statute, but think about it this way. If you catch 2 or more times of the possession or bag limit of fish, crab, stuff like that, if the limit is 4 and you've got 9, that's recreational fishing in the first degree type crime. You can also see that charged if you catch the wrong species, because the limit theoretically in that case is 0 and 1 is more than 2 times 0. So you could get charged with a crime, recreational fishing in the first degree. Second degree recreational fishing charge, which is that simple misdemeanor. Think about that as, hey, the limit was 4 and I had 5. Okay, that would be one way you can get charged with that. Additionally, you can get charged with recreational fishing in the second degree if you are fishing for illegally to catch species, but you don't have the proper license. You forgot to buy it, or the store messed up and you didn't get it. That would be a crime as well. If you have the proper license and you fail to have the license with you, then that could be a crime or it could be an infraction, believe it or not. If you've already caught a fish, you're properly licensed and you don't have your license with you, and you've caught a fish, that's a crime. Recreational fishing, second degree. If you're just fishing and you're not having good luck, and Fish and Wildlife come up and say, let me see your license, they don't have it on, you don't have it on you, but they check your wild account and it is there. If you haven't caught anything, that's just an infraction. Okay, so the bad luck of not catching anything is good luck, because now you probably don't have to hire a criminal defense attorney if it's just an infraction. Okay, and then I forgot to throw in one on recreational first degree. Also, some people will go out trying to catch salmon, and they will snag a salmon. That if you sort of illegally catch, not in the mouth, you're snagging. That's a first degree charge as well. So those are the 2 most common criminal charges. And there's also one statute that covers infractions. There's not much that is not a crime. In other words, almost everything's a crime if you do something wrong fishing, but there are some infractions, and I'm going to include that link as well. Barbed hooks, where illegal, are typically an infraction and not a crime. Failing to turn in your catch record card is often an infraction, not a crime. And also, as I already mentioned, failing to carry your license not yet having possessed fish is also an infraction. So there's a list there, and you can take a look at it if you're curious. So moving on to number 2, what are some common situations that I've seen over 20 plus years of dealing with this type of thing that Fish and Wildlife end up citing? Okay, and so I can go over some fishing things, some clamming things, some crabbing things. The most common for fishing is I caught too many, right? I caught too many, or I was on a boat with 3 people and we didn't keep a good track, and Fish and Wildlife checked us and we had too many fish. And so they're going to cite somebody. The curious thing is who are they going to cite? It depends. It depends who the boat owner is. It depends who takes responsibility. They're generally not going to cite everybody. They're usually going to pick one person. So too many fish is the most common situation. The wrong species I've seen before too. I've had cases where we have a debate about, they don't keep the fish. Was this the right fish that we caught or was it not? When it comes to crabbing situations, crabbing is one of the hardest. It's usually undersized crab because we didn't measure properly from, outside point to point. Fish and Wildlife has a video that'll teach you some more about that. Also, female crabs are a problem that sometimes a new person crabbing doesn't understand the difference or hasn't trained themselves, and it's their fault, but they'll get charged with crimes for that. Basically, if you are having people on the boat who go out crabbing, I've seen situations where we have a pair of adults and 2 kids. And so they get 4 crabbing licenses. And they drive out on the boat, but they don't pick up the kids. They've got the licenses, but the kids aren't on the boat. Well, if the people aren't on the boat pulling the crab pots, you can't harvest crabs for them, even if you bought the license. Fish and Wildlife will nail you every time if you don't have all people that you're accounted for the license actually doing the crab harvesting. So that's a gotcha. For clamming, not returning the smaller clams, that you can't harvest to the location where you harvested them, that's sort of a gotcha. That's a secret crime that people don't really know about that much. And of course, we always see too many clams. I mean, people can get carried away and just take too many. So those are some common things that we see. Finally, we also see avoiding a wildlife check station. You can get charged with that if you're a fisher person. By not revealing that extra cooler you have that you don't want them to know about. Well, that's not only, if they find out about it, not only will you get charged for anything extra in the cooler that you're not allowed to have, they'll charge you with that extra crime, avoiding a wildlife check station by not revealing to them that's what you have. And we have a video up on that if you want to see more about that as well, about what law applies there. So those are some of the sort of gotchas I've seen over the years for fishing and crabbing. There's a lot more, but I don't want this video to go on for like 20 minutes. So if you have a question, call Fish and Wildlife. They'll pick up the phone. I mean, I call them sometimes to get some clarification on rules because let me tell you, if you're a fisherman out there in the Pacific Northwest, it's very complicated and the rules keep getting harsher and not easier. And again, I haven't covered everything here, so take a look at the statutes. So finally, number 3, and thanks for staying along this end, what are some likely outcomes in court? Well, I'm filming this in May of 2021. 5 or 6 years ago, many of these crimes were bail forfeitable. So if you've been fishing for a while and you got a citation for something, you might have seen a dollar amount, even on a crime where you could pay a dollar amount and walk away. Well, years ago, the Supreme Court said we can't do that anymore. And so now what's happened is all these tons of fishing crimes have ended up thrown in the prosecutor's laps in the general criminal court system, the same court that prosecutes DUIs and domestic violence and drugs and theft. So as you might imagine, in most places, prosecutors who are already overworked on very serious crimes don't look at these with a whole lot of venom. Okay, sometimes they do, especially in the remote counties, but usually a prosecutor is going to be looking for a way to respond to the case that doesn't take a ton of work on their part. Because again, if a defendant maintains a right to a trial, they've got to Prosecutors got to take this case to jury trial just like any other case. So many outcomes that we try to do in these cases is we try to get the case dismissed or at least reduced to an infraction. And infractions can still be problematic if you have prior phishing violations, because once you get so many, you can lose your license. But how we usually do that is the backstory. Almost always, someone with a phishing violation that comes to us did not intend to do anything wrong. It's complicated. They might not be that experienced. They're not usually trying to put one over and just take too many fish or too many crab. It's usually something they didn't understand. So oftentimes we'll try to educate you as a client and then show to the prosecutor that we're educated and it's not going to happen again. Maybe we'll do some community service. We've had clients actually, take the crabbing quiz online and things like that. But in the most cases, we're going to handle the matter in a way that will help make sure you're not convicted of a crime, and certainly don't go to jail. We don't want you to go to jail for something like this. Now, if you have a worse history of this type of thing, it's not the first time. We have to take some different, more factual-based approaches, because there are ways to defend these about what Fish and Wildlife assume versus what they can actually prove. But the bottom line, if you're charged with a crime, you're probably scared, and it's good to be careful. But if you get qualified attorneys who know how to handle phishing matters, it's usually going to turn out okay. So I hope you found this video useful. If so, again, please like, please subscribe. More people get to see it. And if you have this type of problem, if you're facing a phishing violation or hunting, please give our office a call. In most cases, we're going to be able to meet with you, listen to what happened, and hopefully get on board to help. Just give us a call and we'll be there for you. Thank you.